Hey guys, Monica here, and I want to talk a little bit today about perfectionism, one of my favorite isms because it's something I've personally dealt with and I would say continue to. I often call myself a recovering perfectionist because I think it's something that is certainly active and ongoing, something that I would say probably weekly something comes up for me that kind of puts me in a bit of a pickle and I have to look at. So I thought, why not talk about it? I think it's something a lot of us can relate to. It often works hand in hand with, other issues like depression and anxiety, eating disorders, and I would say most forms of addiction in general. So, what better way to kind of shed light on those issues than talk about something that I think often underlies it? And I think what underlies the perfectionism, or what sort of gives rise to it, is this feeling that we're not quite good enough for whatever reason. Just this persistent inadequacy, or feeling that we're not worthy, that we're not good enough in some way. And I know for me, when I've looked kind of or traced back the roots of those feelings, and they've come up in a variety of ways for me, from body image issues to my intelligence to social skills. I mean, a whole, you name it. And I can always kind of look back and see that there was usually just an isolated incident or two, nothing usually too chronic or too terrible, but being the sensitive being that I am, there were a couple incidences that I usually sort of latched onto unknowingly, and I allowed certain individuals, usually that didn't even know me very well, to assume way too much importance in defining who I am, what my weaknesses are, my shortcomings, the things that are wrong with me, so to speak. And I really held on to those without even realizing it for decades, oftentimes. So I think the first thing is really getting honest with ourselves and looking at, where did this begin? This feeling that I'm not good enough for X, Y, and Z. And I think kind of diffusing those beliefs of the power that they've held by understanding that that was one person's perception many, many years ago. And so it's not really something that has any bearing on who we are today and what we're capable of. So I think that's certainly a very powerful beginning. The second step would be to take some sort of action to, I don't want to say prove that fear, that feeling of inadequacy wrong, because it doesn't even need to be an action related to the fear or that feeling. It can be something as simple as an act of self-care, giving ourselves a DIY spa treatment at home, something that sends the message, hey, I'm worthy, I am someone that deserves loving attention, that deserves health and wellness and all the things that come with a good life, and I'm going to give myself that. And I think that that's empowering because it kind of squashes any idea that we're not good enough. And so wherever that might come from, I think to take some sort of loving action, to take some sort of constructive action, even if it has nothing to do with again, that fear, that feeling of inadequacy, is going to be really empowering, and begin to kind of show not only the universe but ourselves that, hey, I'm this person today, and that's a lot more powerful anyway. And the third thing, and I would say that definitely the most difficult thing, would be the practice letting go, the third step here. And I say practice because it is, it's not something, again, we're going to be perfect at. For me, it's probably one of the most challenging things to this day, to just sort of let go. I still don't quite know what that means sometimes, so if you guys can shed any light on that, I would be certainly grateful. But I think, for any of us that have, again, that tendency to try to control, or do anything out of fear, any sort of fear-based behavior does tend to be controlling and constrictive in some way, that the process and the practice of letting go can feel very foreign and very difficult. So we practice in whatever way we know how. We pray, we meditate, we share our pain with loved ones, talk about it in whatever way we're comfortable, we write about it. There's really no right or wrong here. It's something that you have to find for yourself. What works, what provides the healing that you need to sort of detach yourself from that sometimes huge feeling of not being good enough, and that huge fear that we're not going to be accepted, because that's really what it's about too, right? That somehow we're not going to be liked or to be accepted exactly as is. So understand that it's probably the very things that you're most self-conscious about that are your biggest assets. The things that you're so fixated on and focused on that you feel like just aren't quite good enough are probably the exact opposite things that other people are focused on. And we have a tendency to see, I think, our shortcomings with laser sharp focus, whereas other people tend to see the whole beautiful being. So try to remember that you're much more than your flaws. Yes, you have them. We're imperfectly perfect, and we're human, and it's a beautiful, messy affair. But if you can learn to love yourself, I think that's really that's where the power begins. So hope that you guys got a little something out of this video. Just remember, you're perfect as is, and work on the relationship with you, and you will go far. So thanks again for tuning in, guys, and if you liked what you saw, consider subscribing to my channel so you don't miss an update. I hope to be posting here weekly, so we'll see lots more of one another. Thanks, guys, and take care. Till next time, be well.